Well, there's rumors floating around, and this is why I asked, and thank you for this, but there's rumors floating around about stuff, and I just thought, let's get it clarified once and for all. There was one text that I received, and it stated, it seems there is a change of use building permit issued for the medical clinic to change the ground floor to 3 pods of 10 for drug rehabilitation. Consideration is being given to the medical center across from the high school as a treatment center, and another facility, restaurant, is being considered as a potential residence for 7D plus addicts. Can you comment on any of that?
Sure. So I know for a fact, having done part of the approvals process for 316 King Street East, which is the medical clinic across from CCI, has almost been granted approval. It hasn't. The paperwork has not been issued yet, but approvals have been going through the process for changing the ground floor, the main floor, a third of the building, which is what's allowed in the zoning for the institutionally zoned property, to be changed in this instance for 3 10-unit pods of a rehabilitation residential treatment center.
Does this mean, and forgive me, if it's so when you say residential treatment center, it's not an overnight thing, it's just a...
Because it's a residential treatment center, it would be overnight. I don't have a length of time. I mean, other treatment centers that we have talked with, potentially looking at Coburg as a location, talk about that 20 to 60 day type rehab treatment center. Most of them have been secure and such. This one, there isn't that specifics yet in terms of what the length of stay of a resident or a client would be. There's smaller pods. They each have their own laundry. There's no specific dining room. There is a lounge. Food would be brought in from a local food provider for that facility, but it is potentially for 30 overnight residents.
And this is the first I've heard that in depth, so forgive me, but so could that be similar to Transition House?
No, in this case, it's not an emergency shelter. This is specifically for treatment. That there are treatment facilities, there is a treatment room, there's counseling services. I would relate it more to those other kinds of type services that we have. I don't want to specifically say, I mean, Cornerstone is a longer period of time, say with family violence, domestic violence, but I consider it more of like a treatment center in terms of where people need to go when they have a problem issue. They can talk to people who are professionals, who are trained. There would need to be some financing, I would suspect, and licensing from the province to get those licensed people in there to give treatment, although it's privately held and controlled. And those folks will be going through that. It's not a drop-in, drop-out center, emergency shelter, not for homeless, other kinds of concerns that may or may not be coming up.
Do you know time factor that we're talking? Like when it will be?
In terms of construction, I would say almost imminent that they'll be starting on that work. I hadn't realized actually that the permit had not yet been issued. They're just finishing the last couple of conditions with the building department staff for that change of use from professional clinic, office, and the old pharmacy. That door and stairs will be being blocked off and such, and it will be all centrally focused off that central rotunda in the middle of the building, with then the 3 pods off of that.
And forgive me, private business?
Private business.
Anything with the other rumor?
I'm not familiar with any specifics. There's been no application come through for a change of use or an added use yet for the Division Street property. At this point, I mean, it's a commercially zoned property, fantastic in its current mode, current use. Don't want to see it go, but at the same time, in this case, capitalism will prevail in terms of if people want to sell it or if other people want to buy it, make changes. It has a fairly wide allowable stretch of uses. That it currently is not one of them in terms of a rehab clinic. A clinic's permitted, bed and breakfast is permitted, a hotel is permitted. For another kind of use, they may need to go through zoning planning approvals. No. Certainly the other property, some of it's confidential in terms of the discussions we've had, but because there's nothing formal, I've not seen a change of title, there's been no application come in that I can't say. If I could, I would, and there would be a big public notice out front if there's going to be a change.